On the dark and silent night of August 8, 1963, a Royal Mail train was speeding through the British countryside, traveling from Glasgow to London. Inside one of its coaches were dozens of heavy canvas bags filled with cash, an amount worth nearly £67 million today, roughly 800 crore rupees. The train was being driven by 58-year-old Jack Mills, an experienced engineer who pushed the engine forward through the darkness without expecting anything unusual. But suddenly, at a remote railway crossing, a red signal light flashed ahead. This immediately caught Jack Mills' attention. At this location, and at this time of night, the signal was never supposed to be red, especially for a Royal Mail train. Still, following protocol, Jack pulled the brakes and brought the train to a complete stop in the middle of nowhere. For a few seconds, there was complete silence. But hidden behind that silence was a master plan, one that would soon turn into the biggest train robbery of the century, a robbery so daring that the criminals didn't just steal money. They hijacked the train itself. At first, this story sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. But this was very real. A group of criminals armed not with guns but with intelligence, patience, and flawless planning managed to rob Britain's government-owned Royal Mail train without firing a single bullet. The criminal mastermind everything began months earlier, when some of London's most notorious criminals secretly gathered to plan their next big move. At the center of this operation was Bruce Reynolds, the mastermind behind the robbery. Bruce had access to an extremely valuable secret information leaked by a senior Royal Mail security officer whose identity remains unknown even today. This insider revealed that the Glasgow to London Royal Mail train carried a special coach known as the HVP coach, high-value packages. On a particular day, this coach would be carrying an unusually massive amount of cash, and that was the target. Although Bruce Reynolds and his associates were experienced criminals, none of them had ever robbed a train before. To fix this, they brought in another gang with real train robbing experience, a feared group known as the South Coast Raiders. Slowly, the team grew. In total, more than 15 men became part of the plan. Their rule was clear: no gunfire, no killing, just precision. The perfect opportunity. On August 7, 1963, at 6:50 p.m., the Royal Mail train departed from Glasgow Central Station, scheduled to arrive at London Euston Station at 4 o'clock the next morning. The train had 12 coaches, with 72 postal workers on board who sorted mail while the train was moving. This train didn't stop at stations. Instead, mailbags were exchanged while the train slowed down, a highly efficient system. The most important coach, the HVP coach, wasn't attached yet. It was parked safely at Nene Valley Railway Station. But this time, luck, or rather, planning, was on the robbers' side. Because the previous week was a bank holiday weekend, the HVP coach was carrying nearly £3 million in cash, 12 times the normal amount. Even more shocking, the HVP coaches fitted with security alarm systems were out of service that day. So Royal Mail used an old reserve coach, M3024M, which had no alarm system at all. This was not an accident. This was insider information. The night of the robbery. Late at night, as the train sped through the countryside, the robbers hid quietly in bushes near Sears Crossing. At around 3 o'clock am on August 8th, one gang member tampered with the railway signal. He covered the green light with a glove and powered the red light using a battery. Minutes later, the train approached. Jack Mills saw the red signal and stopped the train, confused but cautious. The assistant driver stepped down to use the trackside telephone, only to discover that the phone line had been cut, exactly as planned. Before he could return, masked men emerged from the darkness and overpowered him. Other robbers climbed into the engine. When Jack Mills resisted, one attacker struck him on the head with an iron rod, knocking him unconscious. At the same time, another group detached the engine and the first two coaches from the rest of the train. Their goal was clear: move the train. A dangerous twist: the robbers planned to drive the train 1 kilometer to Bridgego Bridge, where a truck was waiting. They even brought a retired train driver with them. But there was a problem. The retired driver had never operated this modern engine before. He panicked, left with no choice. The robbers revived the injured Jack Mills and forced him at gunpoint to drive the train to Bridgego Bridge. Once there, they broke into the HVP coach, brutally restrained the 5 postal workers inside, and got to work. Inside were 128 bags of cash, weighing nearly 2.5 tons. With only 15 minutes, the robbers formed a human chain and loaded 120 bags onto the truck, leaving 8 behind. The robbery was a complete success. Almost. The fatal mistake. Before leaving, One robber warned the tied-up staff, "Don't try to move for 30 minutes or you'll be killed." That single sentence would later lead police straight to them. The gang escaped using an Austin Lodestar truck and 2 Land Rovers, all carrying the same fake license plate. By 4:30 a.m., they reached their hideout, a farm near Oakley, about 43 kilometers away. They celebrated, even playing Monopoly with real cash. But police radio chatter soon revealed that authorities were searching within a 50-kilometer radius. Panic set in. The downfall: they split the stolen money around £2.5 million. Each major member received nearly £150,000, an enormous fortune at the time. They cleaned the hideout of fingerprints and assigned one man to burn it down after they left. He took the money, but never burned the house. Police soon raided the farmhouse and discovered crucial evidence, including Monopoly game pieces covered in fingerprints. Those fingerprints matched known criminals in Scotland Yard's database. Within days, 14 out of 16 robbers were arrested. Only 2 were never caught: the replacement train driver, the mysterious Royal Mail security insider. Legacy of the robbery. The court declared this crime the robbery of the century, sentencing most members to 30 years in prison. Britigo Bridge became forever known as Train Robbers Bridge. Jack Mills never recovered from his injuries. He never worked again and passed away 7 years later due to complications from the attack. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most daring crimes,